Hi everybody, my name is Aaron and welcome back to my channel. Scientology has been caught red-handed trying to meddle in our Clearwater City Council elections. Which is bad news for Scientology, but really good news for everyone who loves to see Scientology's dirty little tricks backfire on them. First off, why is Scientology trying to meddle in Clearwater City Council elections? Well, the answer to that is because yours truly is running for Clearwater City Council. And despite everything Scientology and my opponent have done to try and smear my name in the community, I am currently shellacking my opponent on the campaign trail in every measurable way. Remember, I am running against an opponent who is Scientology's go-to girl for everything in downtown Clearwater. My opponent is super tight with Scientology and the leading public Scientologists in Clearwater. In fact, my opponent runs a nonprofit organization called the Clearwater Downtown Partnership. The Church of Scientology actually sits on the board of the nonprofit organization that my opponent runs. That's how tight she is with them. It's unbelievable. And that's just one example. There are many more examples which you'll be hearing more about later on. So back to shellacking my opponent on the campaign trail. I have already knocked on over 2,600 doors of likely voters in Clearwater. That is easily 10x anything my opponent has done. As of the last report, I have raised 25% more total funds than my opponent has. That includes funds from donors inside of Clearwater, and that includes donations from outside of Clearwater. When you look specifically at how many Clearwater voters have donated to my campaign compared to my opponent's campaign, I'm beating my opponent in that metric by close to 50%. The numbers for my opponent are even worse when you consider this is her second attempt at running for Clearwater City Council. It's my first attempt. My current opponent also ran against Mark Bunker 2 years ago when he was running for council. Mark Bunker is a famous longtime activist against Scientology abuse. In that race, the woman who is now running against me, she came in third place to Mark Bunker, even though she raised 3 times as much money as he did. And now she's facing me, an opponent who has actually outraised her. No opponent has ever outraised her before. So, Scientology's terrified. They only have 49 days left until the election, March 15th, when David Miscavige is hopefully going to get massively screwed. So they're freaking out and they're getting sloppy, and some of the meddling was exposed this week. So here's what happened. A local Scientologist named Kurt Belshaw sent an email blast out to the local Scientologists in Clearwater on behalf of Scientology itself. To someone familiar with the internal workings of Scientology, the fact that Kurt's email begins with "a friend told me," but then ends with official information about a briefing occurring at an actual Scientology facility is a dead giveaway that Scientology instructed Kurt to send this email out to Scientologists. The email Kurt sent out says, "A friend alerted me that Aaron Smith-Levin, an anti-Scientologist, is running for city council. Do your own research on this guy. Please get out and vote in March. Attention Clearwater residents, March 2022 municipal election. Election day for city council seats 4 and 5 is March 15th, 2022. Are you informed on the candidates? Do you know where to register? Do you have any questions? This is a very important cycle. Please register to vote and educate yourself on who would be a social personality and who would be an antisocial personality, potentially in office and harming the environment that you live in as opposed to helping it survive better. The way to happiness precept number 10, support a government designed and run for all the people. There's a briefing every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. at the Scientology Information Center if you need any help and/or data. P.S. Do not post on Facebook." So the most damning part of this email is the last 2 sentences. There's a briefing every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. at the Scientology Information Center if you need any help or data. P.S. Do not post on Facebook. Scientology has gone to great lengths in the past to hide how they instruct Scientologists on who to vote for. In the past, Scientology has done this by using proxies. In Clearwater, the proxies they use is Steve Siegel, Joni Siegel, and Brett Miller. These 3 Scientologists set up an organization called Florida Citizens for Social Reform. These 3 Scientologists, under the guise of this political social organization, interview potential candidates pretending to care about religious liberty, when all they really care about is, are you critical of Scientology or not? Brett, Joni, and Steve then tell all of the Scientologists in Clearwater who to vote for. Brett, Joni, and Steve have been very quiet this election cycle, and I suspect that it is at least in part due to the fact that their little operation has been exposed on this channel and also exposed on Mike Rinder's blog. Any of the Clearwater City Council candidates would pretty much immediately torpedo their campaign if they even took a meeting with either of these three at this point. That is how hated Scientology is in Clearwater. It's really hard to overstate how much anger and resentment and distrust and hate there is for Scientology in Clearwater. Scientology's been screwing over the citizens of Clearwater since 1975. Which is one reason why it really is remarkable that my opponent is trying to make a second run for council, considering how widely known she is to be tight with Scientology. I mean, most of the people I talk to actually think she is a Scientologist. And then that puts me in the awkward position of having to defend my opponent and having to explain to people that she's not literally a Scientologist. She's not like one of their members. She hasn't done auditing. She hasn't done courses. She's almost in some ways worse, because if someone is a Scientologist, then there's no way to hide that. You know, you can know what you're dealing with and make decisions accordingly. What Scientology really counts on is getting their hooks into people who aren't Scientologists, but are too afraid of them to do anything about Scientology, or are too connected to Scientologists business-wise or socially-wise, where Scientology loves getting their hooks into people who are just afraid of upsetting Scientology. And the way you know that my opponent is terrified of these guys is she won't come out and correct the record. And the answer is because she can't. Because what I'm saying is true. And if she did try to defend herself, she would really anger and alienate and piss off all of the Scientologists who are in her life personally and professionally, you know, in the business world and in the nonprofit world. And when you have someone who cannot afford to upset Scientology, you have someone who has absolutely no business holding public office. One thing you'll hear my opponent say, she uses this coded language, we have to be pragmatic. Sometimes she'll say, we have to work with them. No, no, no. You have to work with them, which is why you shouldn't hold public office. See, I don't have to work with them. I don't have to worry about upsetting the Scientologists. I don't have to worry about backlash. They've already been trying to destroy my life for years, and it doesn't work, and I don't care. They don't have any way to impact me or influence me. Clearwater doesn't need public leaders who can be influenced by Scientology. So anyway, back to the point I was making. Since Florida Citizens for Social Reform has been sidelined, Scientology is resorting to doing private internal briefings on official Scientology premises, and this is illegal. Now, of course, that's my opinion as a lay person. I imagine perhaps it would not be illegal if, for example, it was open to the public. It wasn't just Scientologists only. If the briefing wasn't done by an official Scientology representative, and if the briefing did not specifically hold up one specific candidate to vote for. I would be really interested in hearing in the comments down below from anyone who actually is a legal expert on this subject. Even if this was an official Scientology briefing from an official Scientology representative on official Scientology premises, if all they said was, vote for anyone other than Aaron Smith-Levin, but didn't say who to vote for, would they be able to get away with that? If you are a lawyer who specializes in this area, I'm dying to hear what you think. What would have to occur at this briefing in order for it to definitely cross the line into illegality? And what would have to occur at this briefing? How would it have to be structured in order for it to not break the law? I mean, they clearly do not want non-Scientologists at this briefing, which is why at the end of the email it says, do not post on Facebook. So I encourage any Clearwater voters who wants to hear what Scientology has to say about our upcoming city council elections, contact the Scientology Information Center. The phone number is 727-467-6966. Give them a call, ask them about the briefing, ask them if it's still happening, ask them if they'll let you attend, and let me know what they say in the comments down below. Before I sign off, quick reminder for everybody, we are doing a virtual fundraiser with Leah Remini and Mike Rinder over Zoom. This is a fundraiser for my council campaign. The event is on February 3rd, Thursday, 6 p.m. I'll post the link to the event that we created on Facebook down below. It is a Zoom event. It's not a Facebook event. And I'll post a link below to where you can get your tickets. That's all I've got. Big thank you to all of you who watch until the end of my videos, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here.